Repair Shop Reckoning, The Race to Zero, episode 9,999. But I guess the title of this one's going to be I'm born to be, I'm born to be a disruptor.
Well, and so how is that, talking about being born to be a disruptor? We just kind of talked about some stuff. We've talked about some stuff throughout the other episodes. Where has that come up in your life where you've disrupted an industry?
All right, let's start out with the Jiu Jitsu. A lot of guys don't know by my physique now that I was a Jiu Jitsu practitioner. I had a school all the way up. I think we had it for 4 years. I had a Taekwondo school with my friend Shane. Then I started a Jiu Jitsu school right across the parking lot of the complex we were in. So how I got into Jiu Jitsu, I made it all the way to 2nd degree black belt. And I decided that I wanted to try some more hand-to-hand stuff because Taekwondo is the way of the foot. It's kicking and stuff like that. Not a ton of punching. There is some Hapkido and stuff like that that's kind of blended. But so I was talking to Shane, and he got me hooked up with James David Gray from Scorpion Fighting Systems. And I always tell this story and people laugh. So I said, I'm going to do a private lesson with this guy. And he's like, all right, you meet James. He's a little guy. He's like, hey, how you doing, man? Nice to meet you. He's got the swoopy haircut and everything. I'm like, good. And I'm like, thinking to myself, I'm going to wreck this guy. I'm going to take him in the cage and I'm going to show him what's up. So he's like, all right, you can do whatever you want, blah, blah, blah. He just starts to beat the shit out of me for an hour. Like literally this little guy is holding me down and I'm a bigger guy. And I was pretty fit back then. Couldn't do nothing. He'd be like, do something. I'm like, I can't. So he really taught me about jujitsu, how basically he controlled my body. It was insane. So I went outside after the lesson. I got in my truck. I started up. I'm all sweaty. Obviously, my ego is hurt. I'm ready to cry, I looked in the mirror and I thought to myself, well, you could be a bitch. You can get in your truck and never go back. Or you could freaking, embrace this whole journey and go for it. So I shut the truck off, walked back in. I said, hey, holy shit, you just kicked the living crap out of me. He's like, oh, bro, it's all good. You know how James talks. And I said, I want to do 2 private lessons a week with you. I want you to teach me what you know. So I did that for 2 years, faithfully, twice a week. He ended up moving buildings. I ended up working at the new building with him still 2 times a week. And then I bumped it up to 3 times a week. And then we had the Taekwondo school going and all that stuff. And I decided, you know what? I want to open the jiu-jitsu part of it. So we had started a kickboxing class. How we started the jiu-jitsu school, we bought a bunch of bags and we were going to do like a kickboxing for women fitness. That just wasn't doing anything. So we're like, screw it. We have the space. I'm going to do jiu-jitsu. So a lot of the Taekwondo kids started doing jiu-jitsu. So we offered it in the same membership, right? You could do jiu-jitsu or you could do Taekwondo. Well, as it grew in a couple of years, I got my blue belt through Scorpion. And I told James, I said, hey, I want to do affiliation school. He's like, well, I really never did that. But since I taught you from ground up, I'm completely okay. You're solid with what you teach. So blue belt, it goes white belt, 4 stripes, then blue belt. So they say, there's going to be an argument here. They say basically a blue belt in jiu-jitsu is like when you really start to get going on. It's almost like having your black belt in like Taekwondo. So I started school, and we get a bunch of kids. We start getting good. We go for a couple of years, and then I'm like, we need to do our first tournament. So we go do our first tournament, and I myself went to, and I competed. I won all 2 of my matches, and all my kids won a lot of their matches. Now, the problem I ran into is when we went to this jiu-jitsu, this particular tournament, we had more kids than anybody else. So sometimes my kids had to fight themselves, each other, kids in their class. But that's okay because they got the experience. They got the first tournament jitters out, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So fast forward, we progress. We start going to like grappling industries and stuff like that. Well, we started beating people. And how we were beating people with the basics. Now, everybody in this podcast, keep that in mind, the basics, okay? So we were beating people with the basic moves, okay? We were getting submissions. A lot of people go for points. I'm like, nope, we're out there to fight. You guys, we're going to do submissions. So I remember this one tournament, me and Shane were standing there, and this other school owner comes over to me and goes, hey, man, how you doing? Good, good, good. Where'd you get your black belt? I don't have a black belt. What? I don't have a black belt. What do you have? I said, a blue belt. You said, you have a school with a blue belt? And I said, well, it doesn't seem to be hurting me because all my kids are beating your kids. And at that point, we kind of drew a line in the sand. People really did not like me because I was taught by a guy who, James David Gray, Scorpion Fighting Systems, taught himself. But he was a disruptor too, because he taught himself, but he's got people in the UFC. He's a Team USA coach. He's got the credentials to back it all up, right? So I had no problem ever worrying about, like, you weren't taught by Gracie's or, the cult.
Yeah.
Did you?
Yep.
So fast forward, we did very well in our school. And I kind of disrupted the jiu-jitsu. I think, honestly, when I sold my school, they probably had a party somewhere because people just didn't like me because we were beating them. It got uncomfortable. I mean, people kind of treated us like shit at tournaments, but that was okay. We were winning, and now fast forward in my life, I have my shops and stuff like that. And I'm coming to the end of my career. I'm 54 years old. I have two guys. I have succession plans in place. So I started doing the podcast a year ago with you. Remember, I reached out to you and said, hey, I want to be on Coffee and Grit. Me and you clicked. I said, I'm going to do my own podcast. We started our own podcast. I got with the place, around here, and they did my stuff for 19 episodes.
Yeah.
And I decided I didn't like the way they did things. So guess what we did? Once again, I disrupted everything. I took this room we're in right now in my collision shop. We redid it. We bought all the equipment. And now we have a podcast studio. Well, me and you are not making content. We're renting it out. And that's where Loudmouth Studios came from, right?
Yes.
So once again, we're disrupting it. And the trend is with me, I do things my own way. A lot of people don't like me. And now I notice nowadays, if you are different and you're not going with the status quo, or you're very solid in your core foundation of what you do, and like talking about it on social media, people say I'm arrogant. I'm not arrogant. That's just a title you're giving me because you don't like what I say, because a lot of times it's the truth.
Yeah.
Or you can't parrot it. So that's kind of where we're at on that.
Yep. Well, and I want to, I love this story kicking off and talking about the jiu-jitsu story, because just even out of the gates, because I was thinking about how people, a certain couple people have said you're arrogant or your videos come off as arrogant. Does an arrogant guy realize he got his ass kicked, get humbled, and then ask somebody to coach them to make them better?
I would agree with that. That's a good way to look at that, because I truthfully didn't even think about that till you just said it.
Yeah.
I don't know what people's problem is. I mean, I've always been a little bit of a threat to people. Let's face it, okay? I'm not everybody's cup of tea. But look at the comments. I mean, tell me some of the comments when you hear, so the people don't hear me talking shit.
No, and and I said this last night because there was a few more that popped up that we have to start taking screenshots, and if you're watching this full video, you're going to see them popping up now of just what people are saying, and it's like, this is the realest podcast out there for the industry. I've watched every single clip. We've had so many people reach out to us through message and want to have calls and talk about their shops and just pick your brain or come on the show and have conversation. And again, just the outpouring of people being like, this is the realest podcast, or this is the realest conversations out there in the industry, and you're talking about things that other people are not.
Right. And let's be completely clear. Everything I've ever done in my life is to make money and make money for my family, my retirement, my end game, right? So back to what I said before we kind of went off is, I have a succession plan in place. I have my key guys that are already going to buy my shops, okay? I'm 54 years old. I figured I'd start the podcast and get the podcast big. Then it kind of morphed into, I got on TikTok and it started growing, and then people reaching out to us. And I'm like, okay, I can consult. I've helped a couple of shops already over the years. I'll just start charging people to consult. Now, I want to be really clear on this. I do not reach out to people. I think I've talked to one person and I said, hey, I didn't understand your message. I'll PM you, and I messaged them and I have all the screenshots, whatever.
Yeah.
But I do not reach out to people just because I see them on TikTok and go, oh, look, money. Let's be completely clear here. I have enough money to shut the lights off in this podcast studio, delete my TikTok, and my life would not change a bit. Okay. Now, the money I'm making on TikTok has not changed my life a bit. I look at it and go, a couple $100 a month because my videos are growing. That's fantastic. It's kind of like a little bit, it's kind of cool.
It's cool. Yeah.
But do you think that I need the $200? Fuck no.
Yeah.
Okay. I've been successful enough with what I've done. Now, What I have done my whole life, I fix stuff for a living. Okay, and I've said this before, and I'll tell people again. Some people on these posts on Facebook, Instagram, and all of them, well, you don't really know what a tech goes through. Yeah, I kind of do. I started out as a tech. You know, our state of Michigan, makes you have certifications. I have all the certifications. Did I ever go take my ASE test? No. I really never found the value in it. For me, it wasn't going to make me more money at the places I worked, so I never took it. Okay. That's a badge of honor. If you want to be an ASE master mechanic, congratulations. I'm happy for you. I just didn't see the value in it for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I own a collision shop. I have all my master collision certs. I own trailer repair. I have the Michigan trailer recreational certificate. I have 21 out of 21 state certifications in Michigan. So I'm master motorcycle, master truck, master car, master collision, you know, and so I have it all. And the reason I'm telling you this, I'm not bragging. I'm trying to tell people that I actually have walked the walk and I can talk the talk. Now, fast forwarding it, getting out from being a tech, now I'm a shop owner. So did I move from a tech to a shop owner and just all of a sudden knew exactly what I was doing? No. And I've said that 100 times, right? You have to learn. I went to management success. I learned how to, you know, run my businesses successfully. And it's taken me, been in this for 35 years. Now, in the last 5 years, I've got it to the point where I can leave my shop. My shop's run with the processes and people I have in place. I don't worry about mutinies. Okay. I don't worry about any of that stuff because you know what? If you're a real leader, your people follow you. If you're not a real leader, you're taking a walk.
Yeah.
Don't kid yourself.
If you're worried about a mutiny, then you are not a good leader and you need to grow yourself before even running that business because you are worried about empowering people that will help you take your business to the next level because you're worried that they're going to take you over or make you irrelevant. That's a you problem. Right.
And, you know, here's a perfect example. And I will talk about the engine that I talked about on that one phone call. We end up selling that engine for over $50,000. It's a Mercedes engine in a truck. It's an expensive ass engine, right? That customer has been a great customer for years. But I said, hey, I need you to pay me for the engine. That's a big nut for me to drop down and wait for 45 days. For that company's golden, they would probably pay, but it's just, I'm not interested in putting that kind of money out. I could put it on a credit card, write a check for it, whatever. I just don't like to do business that way. They need to pay me for the engine. I'll eat the labor, you know what I mean? And I've dealt with the guy at the branch, and he said, the people upstairs don't want to pay you. First, I hit him up. I just paid up front, right? Can't blame a brother for trying. But then I said, fine, we'll do the engine. And my guy, he said, okay, well, I don't know if the people upstairs, because they got bought by a corporation, I don't know if the people upstairs, they might say, I need to go find another shop and not use you anymore if you're going to make us pay for the engine. And I've had a 25-year relationship with this company. I said, well, if that's something that you need to do, you know, it's been a great run, but I'm not backing down on this. And my wife's like, you do realize that if we lose them, you know, that's a big hit on our numbers. I'm like, you do realize I'm okay with that. And if I'm at the top of the food chain here in my shops, I'm making the decision. This is how we're doing it. I didn't really get much pushback from my people. And they're all, you know, my service advisors are on commission as far as their, you know, their sales, and my techs are all like, yeah, you know what you're doing. And guess what? The guy, I went and talked to him. He's like, yeah, here you go. Like that's only sensible.
Yeah.
But my point is, if you're a leader, you have to make decisions. And sometimes you're not popular decisions, but if your team trusts you because you have a track record of making good decisions, okay, that helps. Now, with that being said, how many business owners have you gone into to consult? Because you've been consulting a long time, Jason, and they're not disruptors; they're excuse makers.
Oh man, the excuses. I don't have the right person in place yet, so I can't do, you know, I can't coach, or I can't bring you in because I got to have everything right and in place. And no, that's when you want to bring somebody in. There's people that are constantly making excuses. You know, something personal happens, a family member passes away, or you look at different situations where, man, you know what? My grandma died. I was 6 months into my business. I just started my business, and you know, it was like a very up and down, trying to figure things out. And my grandma died, and it would have been very easy. My grandma was like a second mom to me. She was very close to me. It could have been very easy to take the week off and grieve my grandma. But I had a speaking event the next morning. You know, we stayed up all night. I went to the speaking event. I was ready to go, killed it, did work. I had a whole day of stuff lined up. I had to go do that stuff, right? Like there's nothing that changes. I got to go and do these things. I can't say, yo, man, my grandma died and I've got to now take off the next 2 weeks and not worry about my business. No, because then when I get done grieving, I've got to grieve the death of my business too.
Yeah, right. And the thing is, I'm proud of where I came from. So if people go onto my YouTube channel, Repair Shop Reckoning, and they start at number 1, my mom and dad are on there. And we're talking about how I had such a hard time in school. My IQ was high, and I was talking about how I didn't give a shit about school because I didn't care about anything they had to say really because wasn't interested. And they talk about all the struggles I went through, okay, and where I came from. So maybe people get a little bit more perspective on how I am. So here I am, fast forward to 54. I was the dark horse in the race. I was the guy that was going to come in number 13th no matter what I did, okay?
Yeah.
Nobody counted on me and me being successful, okay? So me being a disruptor, and I've been a disruptor my whole life. I've always done stuff completely 100% different than other people. The way I feel about certain things, I'm just different, right? I was brought up in a environment at a horse farm with a guy named Tommy Lenhart who was tough. He was tough on me. He would tell you, go fucking cry in the corner. When you're done crying, come on back over here and we'll keep going. So I kind of raised my kids that way, and I think that's great. But in the world we live in today, everybody wants to talk about how hard everything is, okay? Yes, it's hard. I get it, okay? Shit happens, okay? But
what are you going to do about it?
Right. Are you going to sit there and say, boo-hoo, poor me? Are you going to put on, I see some of these groups that I belong in, that these guys are like, I hate Sunday nights because I have to worry about Monday going to work. If you hate going to work Monday so bad that you worry about it Sunday, you need a new fucking job.
Absolutely.
You're in the wrong place, right? Yep. Know your value. We talked about where the water at the concert at Walmart, blah, 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 right? Same bottle of water is $1 here, but $18 here. Find somebody that values you. It might be hard. Stick to your guns, right? So me coming all the way fast forward to me getting on TikTok and talking about your numbers and how you should do stuff, that's not me being arrogant. That's me telling the freaking truth and helping people.
What I've found is people have a really poor definition of what is kind and what is arrogant. You look at what is kind. People think that yeah, oh man, Kevin, you have it so hard, like that's kind. But I think being kind is actually telling somebody, man, you've got a problem. And if you don't do something about that problem, you're not going to have a business anymore. It's going to be an even bigger problem. I think to me, that's kind. It's not arrogant. It is waking somebody up because, man, I had this person that came to me and they were listing off all these problems that they had, and they were like, man, I'm not going to have a business in 6 months. And I told them, like, I can help you. I can fix your problem. Let's move. And they came to me because they thought I could fix their problem, but then they told me, oh, I can't afford it right now. And I'm like, well, okay, so when can you afford it? And they're like, give me 2 months. And I'm like, okay, but you just told me in 2 months you're going to be out of business, so like what's going to change in 2 months that's going to make you be able to afford me? You got to take action or you're going to lose your business. Like I can be nice and I can tell you, oh yeah, you know what? Take all the time you need, or I can kick you in the gut, because if not, that's the kind thing to do, because I'm watching you, you're going to die.
No, 100%. And how many people have we talked to in the last few weeks that have actually reached out to us, and we talk to them and we say, okay, our minimum package is X. And they're like, well, I don't know if I can afford that. We're like, we can show you how to afford it. If you sold X amount of hours of labor more this week by us showing you this, you could afford us and nothing would change with your financial situation. It's not like you're outlaying. We're just going to show you how to do it the correct way. And they don't do it. Or they say to us, well, I don't have the right people in place. My thought is, if you're a business owner and you don't know what you're doing, the pyramid starts at the top. Who's in charge?
Yeah.
The business owner, whatever, right? So he sets the tone for everything.
You got to face it. You're the problem as the owner.
Right. And how many companies have you been around where people mimic the guy at the top? They mimic his attitude. Okay, I've had companies where the guy at the top is a complete sissy. His people are freaking tyrants. They run over the guy.
Absolutely.
They actually tell him how to run his business. Now I've had other companies where the owner's a complete asshole and the owner's a complete asshole and his employees are complete assholes.
Yep.
Lack of respect for everybody. Right.
Yep.
My people I'm in your face, and I expect all my people to be in your face. We're not rude. We're not belligerent. We treat people with respect. We don't take shit. Okay. So people can say whatever that needs to, however you want to make it. Here's another tidbit. We don't edit our
True
podcasts.
story. Yeah.
I want it to be authentic. So
Yep.
when I misspeak or I stutter or I say the wrong word, okay, it's not edited out. I want it to be the human touch.
Yep.
You see all these other guys, they're editing and stuff like that. That's great. That's the way you want to do it. Great. Okay. But I just want to be authentic as can be. And people don't like that, Jason.
I told one of our podcast clients called me up the other day, and he's like, "Hey, I misspoke in this one spot. Could you take that out?" And I'm like, "I can." I'm like, "But do you think you got to be right all the time?" Like, to me, if you have this in the clip and you're human, you made an error, you had one town over, you made a mistake and said the wrong name, like, you're human. And honestly, if that leaves it in there, people have a chance to comment and tell you that you're wrong.
I'm okay with that. Like I'm not to the point where I have not done shit wrong or I don't say the wrong
Absolutely.
shit or I don't get my words mixed up, but I'm trying to be authentic, and a lot of these people we talk to, they're real people. Okay. Now, and I'm going to say this, and people are probably like, oh, I can't believe you said it. I'm not here to talk to people for hours and hours for free.
5,000%.
Okay.
Absolutely.
And you don't
Yeah.
expect your mechanics to get on the phone, your flat rate mechanics to get on the phone and talk to a customer for free.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm doing this so when I sell my shops here in the next few years, I could go around the country. Me and my wife can drive around, fly around or whatever, and it'll give me something to do. When I sell my shops, I could shut the lights off, as far as me walking away from them, and them guys will be fine. I'll have all the money from 2 shops that are successful. I'll be paid out on them. I can go live my life and do whatever. I don't even have to work. But the problem is, I will tell you, I will be bored.
Bored.
And
Yeah.
I could freaking go on my boat so much, and I could ride my 4-wheeler so much. You know what I'm saying? So I want to be a part of something, and I truly want to change the way this industry does it. I'm only going to be one sliver. I'm not arrogant enough to say I'm going to single-handedly change this industry. That's bullshit. We all know it, okay?
Bullshit.
This industry is huge,
Yep.
okay? And there's too many problems in it, okay? So I focus on the independent part because I cannot change the dealership world, okay? Nor do I even care to, right? But the single owner operators, absolutely, okay, I could help them. But the problem is they have to take the first step. If they don't want to take the first step, that's great. I'm not the consultant for everybody, right?
Absolutely.
But you have to have the right consultant to give you the right information. Okay, so people say, oh, you spitting all your numbers and your arrogance and stuff like that. Why does that make me arrogant? Because I actually know what I'm talking about and I'm a challenge to everybody else. Is that what it is?
Well, when somebody that's trying to change the industry, so to speak, and they talk about like all the ways that they're bottlenecks in their business, and they talk about it constantly in videos, and then when you give helpful advice, for example, and say, listen, you've got to build processes and remove yourself out as a business, and that's the only way that you really truly create freedom. Who starts their business because they want to have a job? Who starts their business because they want to work 60 or 70 hours a week?
Right.
Do you know anybody that does that? Why do people start their businesses?
Freedom.
They want freedom.
Freedom and financial freedom.
Freedom and financial. And so when all of a sudden you're explaining how to create that freedom, all of a sudden you're a bad guy because you make somebody look bad because they're trying to preach to their choir specifically about how things are supposed to be. That's not changing anything. It's keeping people small.
Absolutely. And you know what? You can be a good mechanic, and I'll say this again, but not a good business owner. Okay. And let me tell you something here. How many times we've talked to people and we go, well, what's the problem in your shop? Well, I had a service advisor who's been acting up for 4 months. How the hell has your service advisor been acting up for 4 months if you're not watching your numbers?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let's take that a step further. Probably because you don't even know what your numbers are supposed to look like, right? Some of these guys literally go, I kind of run my business with what I have in the bank. Well, guess what, pal? You spent $30,000 in parts last month and you have $20,000 in your bank account. There's a problem.
How quickly, and this is being an honest question, how quickly do you think that you'd spot out if one of your guys was stealing from you?
Pretty quick now because I have the processes in place because early on I was stole from.
Yeah.
Okay, now I have
You had to
checks
learn
and
the lesson.
balances. Now I have checks and balances. Okay, it's not necessarily like we talked to people that one guy who said he was getting stolen from for months. Okay, there has to be a gap somewhere if you have the right process in place, unless you got a mastermind that knows. But all these shop management programs have ways where you could lock people out and they have logs and they have stuff like that. So if you're really paying attention to your business, you kind of know what's going on. And the right shop management program is definitely key. Um, I believe that you should be doing everything through your shop management program. That's the front end. Then you have the QuickBooks on the back end, right? So your guide is your front end, your information, your pricing stuff, right? And then it flows to the first 5 lines of your P&L. You can make sure when it flows across that your margins are right. You know what I mean? So you could actually see your costs and what your profit margin is. Then all your costs come out, and then at the bottom is your net, right? So you could have everything priced right, but all of a sudden your costs are too high, so your profit gets eaten up by your overhead, right? Your cost. A lot of people don't even take that into consideration because we've asked, hey, what do you have here? What do you have going on here? They don't even know. And it's, here's the thing.
Yeah.
It's not that they're bad people or anything. They don't
Absolutely.
know,
Yeah.
but you kind of have to know. And another thing is don't trust your accountant. You have to know your own numbers. Okay. And I made it my career, obviously, in my companies to know my numbers because I need to know how to steer the ship. And once again, you're in charge of not just your family, you're in charge of your employees' families, their family. You know what I mean? So people are trusting you to be a good business owner. How many people do we see on these posts are like, yeah, I go and knock on the boss's door Friday at 4:30 to say, hey, can I get my paycheck? And then he's like, well, I can pay you Monday maybe, or I can pay you half now. Okay. I don't get that. Okay, so you get a guy that like me that's an operator that does very well. You can go to my websites and look at my shops. Okay, we're not fly by night. We've been around forever. The one shop's been around since 1958. Moved into that building in 1982. I started there in 1995. So think about it. I've been there a long time at the one shop. And this shop we're at right now, I started 15 years ago as a crane company, morphed it into a collision shop. Right. So it's not like I just don't know what I'm doing. So I am giving good sound advice. So if you want to call me arrogant because I give sound advice and I can argue my points with people.
That's exactly it. I have something to add. Can you move over like right about to where I'm at? Like if we're about even, just a little bit more perfect.
Okay.
I want to get it in more the background more in. All right, so we've now been consulting. We got to go on the road last week, in not to gas you up, or if anybody thinks that I'm like kissing your ass. Like I've been consulting now for 7.5 years in my business, and I partnered up with all kinds of different guys that have run operations in their business. Run operations. I'm more on that sales, that leadership, diving into the business and finding the gaps in the money, and so like going down there was so much fun watching you get to work. I told my wife, and I know this has been kind of a joke for you too, but I'm like, this guy's like literally like Rain Man, and it's like, as our client is telling numbers, or just you're asking him questions and he's saying numbers and his labor rate and what his guys are making, you're doing the math in your head and you're spitting out numbers. And he had said right there, he's like, that's what I dream about. That's where I want to be. Is I want to be that guy that can look at my business and I can tell you the numbers. I can tell you exactly where I'm at. And it's like you're taking them through that process, and it wasn't just like, oh, look at me, I'm so smart. If you're arrogant, then you're the guy that's like, look at me, I'm so smart. I can spit out the numbers. You'll never be able to do this because I'm so smart. You're actually taking him and making him do the work, and actually taking him through the process, and you're making him calculate the stuff out because you want him to be in that same spot that you are.
Yeah, and you know what? It was kind of fun because I went through and we built estimates together for 5 or 10 estimates, and I kept showing him, look, and he's just like, wow. And there's a guy that's like wants to learn now. And he's like, okay, I want to do this, okay? And I want him to succeed. What better reward for me is having somebody succeed and come to me someday and go, hey, you changed everything for me.
Absolutely.
I paid you, don't get me wrong.
Absolutely.
But you changed everything.
My life.
You changed my life. I could actually do X, Y, and Z. Here's a funny thing. We had to get my wife on here, but last month, the month of June was tough because we had Lincoln's graduation. We had lots of graduation parties. We had a lot of stuff. So Marilyn wasn't at the shop. She went to Florida for 2 weeks. Then she came back and she ended up going to Florida again. So she wasn't around. So the bank accounts didn't get wrecked. So here's a guy, me. I don't really necessarily do the reconciliations of the bank accounts. I have, I think in December or something, she was out of town. I just did them. I can do them, obviously. But I was running my company in June with my bank accounts not reconciled. And I literally thought to myself, by the amount of sales we did, I said, I bet you my credit card charges, fees, and everything this month are between here and here. And I told her, I said, when you reconcile Garrett's bank account, I think the numbers should be here and here. So I look and the bank account's off, and I'm like, did you reconcile? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, and? She's like, no, I'm not even going to stroke your ego. I'm like, she's like, it was like, you told me it was between 46 and 50 or 5,000. It was 48. And that was a guess. But you know what? That's because I paid attention over the years and I kind of know where we're going to be and what we're going to do. I think that's very important because think about this. What if you're a company that's not very profitable and you all of a sudden do this sales? You could do a huge amount of sales. Most people don't realize you could do huge sales numbers.
Yeah.
That don't mean shit. You know what means shit? The number you get to keep. So what happens if you're off and you overdraw your bank account because you don't make no money and all your money's gone and you're off by $5,000?
Yeah, absolutely. What I think, we talked about like being able to change the whole industry. And I think who our target people that we really want to work with is those companies that are doing over 2 million a year. They're having success, but they don't know their numbers and how much more success can we find? Like even looking through, like you pulled up QuickBooks and you were able to find like $50,000 that is owed to him really, really quickly, and so you can pick up that money like instantly in what they paid us to come down was not even a fraction, just a fraction of that.
Yeah. And what a great guy. He's like, oh my God, I didn't even know that report was there. I'm going to get to work. Like,
yes. It's the coachable people that want to take it and run with it.
Right. And the other thing is too, most people don't realize we don't take everybody.
That's it.
Okay.
Yep.
I've given like minuscule little itty bitty amounts that I'll help people for every week. Just help them set up their programs, make sure they won't do it. That's fine. It's not going to change my mind one way or change the way I do things one way or the other. Okay. That's kind of the bottom line on this whole consulting thing. We don't spam people. We don't reach out to people. If anybody has screenshots of me trying to beg them to come so I can consult them, go ahead and send them my way or post them and tag me in them because that's bullshit and we all know it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I always have had a mindset. If somebody is serious enough, they're going to figure out a way to get a hold of me.
Absolutely.
Okay,
yep.
My websites are geared that way. I show you what I can do. If you come to me, great. I don't have freaking sales. I don't say this. I don't sell breaks for $19.99 so I can get people there and sell a bunch of. I don't do any of that. If you want to come to
bait
me,
and switch. You get what you see.
Yeah, that's the bottom line. If anybody doesn't realize that's the way my personality works, then I don't know what to tell them.
Yep. Hey, is the consulting thing cool? And again, you get to impact people. It gets to be part of your retirement. Like it's all part of a strategy. Awesome. But again, people started reaching out to us. People started reaching out to you and sending you messages.
Yeah, I don't, like I said, I don't really reach out to people. And you know what? Like I told you earlier, we could shut the light off in this studio and I could walk out here and never turn around and it would not change my life one way or the other, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I've already kind of been successful. So now it's kind of like a cherry on top of the cake. I get to go out and spread my word of what I could teach people. And I could teach people a lot of stuff. Now, there was a guy yesterday that actually asked me, did you see that guy ask me? He's like, do you think you know everything about the automotive business? And I said it jokingly back, absolutely. Haven't you seen my videos? LOL. And he's like, I like following you. Then he said, hey, do you think you could learn something? I said, you could learn something in every situation. I do not know everything about this business. I've just been doing it for long enough to know where I've seen a lot of shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
I've seen a lot of companies come and go. I've seen manager structures. I think shakeups. I've seen a lot, and I've changed a lot of the ways I do stuff. And I do years ago, when you run into a problem in your business, and you could probably resonate with this, when you run into a problem with your business and it happens more than twice, you need to make a policy. Why do we make policies? Because if we do a policy, that means we're training the masses, all of our employees, to follow this policy. This is why we do it.
Yep.
Okay, it's as stupid as dumpsters are really expensive to empty every week. So last thing we want to do is throw full boxes in the dumpster that are together. We always cut them up so they're flat, right? And throw them in there flat. Because you throw a bunch of boxes in there, you could have your dumpster filled up. Even if you don't put heavy stuff on them, they don't crush, your dumpster's full. So technically your dumpster's only a quarter full, right? That's the kind of little stupid shit policies I've had to do over the years. But it saved money as you do all these policies to get going, right? And then processes. Processes are very important because I'll give you an example. I think number 6 or 7 in my Garrett Auto and Truck intake form is you ask the customer for the keys. And if you look at that part in the process, that is right when the repair order is open and the service advisor can click the button to print the key tag. Why is that? Because lots of times we've never asked for the keys and the customer takes the keys home. So all of a sudden we have a car in a parking spot that shouldn't be there. It's in the way. We're trying to get stuff in and we don't have the keys.
Yep.
So over the years, I say, okay, we need to print a key tag at this spot in the process. Why? Because if you print a key tag, what is the next thing you're going to ask the customer for?
Yep.
The keys.
The keys.
Okay.
Yep.
It's stupid shit like that bottleneck shops to the point where it cripples them, you know? And let's talk about leadership.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who do you want leading your shop? A guy that's scared of his own shadow, or a guy like me that's got balls that will be like, you know what? I'm not everybody's cup of tea. I'm in your face, but you know what? All my guys respect me and all my guys love me. At least I think they do.
Yeah. They tell you they do.
Right. But, you know, I go to their kids' birthday parties.
Yeah,
We do
yeah.
stuff like you've seen our.
Well, and again, it's really cool just seeing the content in the Garrett Boys. That episode is blowing up on YouTube, you know, and that's cool. And for people that are messaging out and asking for the full content, go check out the YouTube, subscribe to the channel. The full content is uploading, and we have a ton of stuff that's continuing to come out.
You know, here's something that I heard a long time ago. I thought this was really, really good. This kind of like fits right into our podcast. If you're playing a video game and you're going the right way, what do you run into?
The opposition.
Opposition.
Yeah.
Bad guys, however you want to say. Look what they did to Jesus Christ when he was on the earth.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
He was going, okay, so, you know, I kind of take it as a compliment that people are freaking talking shit about me.
Oh, they're scared. Yeah.
Because they don't freaking, you know.
Well, and again, we're loosely talking about an interaction that happened on Facebook the other day, and you commented and tried to help someone out based off of a constant complaint that they have in their videos, and they took it as you being arrogant, and because you made him wrong and he has a bunch of followers that are looking at him, and so all of a sudden you were a bad guy because you came and told the truth. And I think that people that see it, and there are people that were seeing it, were like, you're right,
Yeah, and I'm not here to start a fight because I don't really give a shit what the people on social media think, quite frankly. My answer was very precise.
5,000%.
There was not emotion in it.
Yep.
This is how I do it.
Yep. Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Take it or leave it.
Okay. Then I got a bunch of bullshit back.
Yep. Take it or leave it, or kick us out of your Facebook group, whatever you want to do. But, you know, the truth hurts. Like, the truth will set you free, but first it'll piss you off. And so where are you at on that scale? If someone took that as an emotional response and they got all pissed off about it, like, that's probably a spot that you've got to dive into and look at, and why are you pissed off about this?
Right. And you know what? I'll say this again. I do not spam people. I do not reach out to everybody I possibly see. I do not do that. Okay. I am here for one reason. Number one, to make money. Okay. I am monetizing the social media networks.
Yep.
Okay. Everybody hear me now.
Yep.
That's why I'm here.
Yep.
Okay. It's not a secret.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not going to do some underhand bait and switch bullshit. I give you a price. Here's my price. If you don't like it, just like I do everything else in my life, you don't have to take it.
Yeah.
The choice is yours.
Yep.
Okay. I'm not doing bait and switches. I'm not doing any of that horse shit. Okay. That's just completely wrong. I don't spam people. I wait for people to reach out to me or message me. I get back to them. I follow up with them. And if they don't follow back up with me, then that means they're not interested. They can't afford it. Whatever. Right. The bottom line is, like, I don't know what else to say. Besides, I am not a guy that's going to sit and dick around and fight on social media for clicks. I don't care what other people say.
Yep.
I have a track record. And, you know, I guess I give a challenge. If anybody wants to get on a plane, we could all come to this room and do a podcast, pay your way here. We'll sign an NDA before the podcast. We'll show each other all of our numbers and all the money we made last year from our shops, not from anything else. Okay. We'll put all the money on the table, our tax returns, and we'll see who made the most money. And that's the guy we'll listen to.
Yep.
Because at the end of the day,
that's what it's about.
What it's about. We didn't get into money. Why do you people get into business?
To make money.
To make money, right?
Yeah.
Financial freedom, personal freedom, right? Because let's face facts here. You heard my story when I talk about have to be at the shop. Every minute was open. Couldn't even go to lunch. Okay, so my goal was to be able to leave the shop. Okay, here I am on a Friday afternoon at 1:17. I've been here. I'm at the collision shop. I hung around here waiting for you or whatever, wait till you get done with your clients. And I'm getting ready to go in and get in my truck and go up north to my lake house because I was successful in business. How long am I at my lake house? A couple of years. Okay, that was just the next chapter of my life, trying to get unwind. You know, my wife's like, if you buy a place on the lake, I'll go up there on a pontoon boat with you. Oh, gee, thanks.
Thanks.
Will you ride in my EV? EV hater. But the bottom line is like, I'm not here to make everybody else feel better. I'm here to speak the truth.
Yep.
Okay. And
Yep.
we probably, most people kind of get the whole point right now. That's a lot what I do. And a lot of people can handle it. You know that speaking the truth nowadays, if you're in a store and somebody treats you like shit or whatever, if you speak the truth, you know what you're labeled as? Rude.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Because back in we were growing up, me and you were not far apart.
Yeah.
If me or you would talk to somebody at a store, I don't know about I would be in big trouble.
Yeah.
My mom would be like, when you get in the car, you're getting your ass whipped. Or they'd spank you right there in the store.
Yeah. Yeah.
When's the last time you seen anybody spank their kid in the store? Or let these kids nowadays, we're going off on a tangent, but it's kind of all fits into where these kids are nowadays.
Yeah.
They're going to this parent-teacher conferences, and it's not their kid being an asshole. It's the teacher's fault. Okay, the kid's disrespectful, rude, and stuff like that, and the parents don't back the teachers. Now, I'm not saying the teachers are bad, but I'm saying right now, the parents are the problem in America. Okay, now I'm going to get flamed for this. Okay, but I don't really give a shit. On some of these posts, people are buying kittens and shit and call them therapy kittens for their shops. I'm sorry, that's nuts.
Yeah.
In my world, that's nuts. Maybe it's going to make them okay or good for them, but the way I see it, being 54 years old. Okay, there was a story on, I don't remember where I read it, but there was an old man and he went home and he was in a bad mood. You could see like the bubble over his thing. Gee whiz, I had a horrible day. Well, I'm just going to go home, eat dinner, eat my supper, and go to bed, and maybe tomorrow will be better. Okay, then it fast forwarded to 2025 with a guy in a little scooter wearing shorts and has a man bun and shit and going, you know, I need to post on social media that I'm not happy, how bad my day was and stuff like that. Let's face facts here. Nobody gives a shit. At the end of the day, truthfully, Jason, do you think really people give a shit that you had a bad day?
No, not really. No. It just piles on. Great, thanks.
I literally told my wife a few months ago, I had a few beers and I'm like, I said, some days I can't handle this. She's like, stop being a bitch. And I'm like, she's like, snap out of it. Stop being a bitch.
Gracie said that too. Yeah.
And I'm like, I kind of got butthurt. I'm not going to lie to you. I thought to myself, wow, you couldn't come over here. I ain't giving you a fucking hug. She's like, stop being a bitch. She said it like 3 times. Like, I get it. I get it. But it was kind of funny. But you know, the thing was, she was 100% right.
Yeah. Yep.
Now, I did get some sympathy when Steve died. My best friend of 30, Steve Garrett, the guy who started Garrett on the truck with his dad.
Yep.
We were best friends for. I was pretty broken up. I really did not know mentally what something would do to me when you lost somebody that close, and it really messed me up for a year. Like I was drinking, I quit doing jiu-jitsu, I gained a bunch of weight. Like I did not give a fuck.
Yep.
But then one day I woke up and go, "What are you doing? Wake the fuck up, okay? Man up. You're being a bitch."
Yeah.
Okay, and it's gotten easier and easier and easier. You know, we had a deal, me and him had a deal that if I died before him, he would ride behind the hearse on his Harley. And if I died, I would ride behind his hearse. Well, guess who got to ride behind the hearse? And I'll tell you what, that was a tough fucking ride. And I did it. It was tough. I put his other Harley back together. I'm a motorcycle mechanic because I told her I took his other Harley. He hadn't ran in 10 years. I did the carb on and I did the top end and I got it running and stuff. I rode across his fucking grave with it. I told him that too. I said, if you ever die, I'm riding across your fucking grave for Lee and me. I literally rode across his fucking grave with his Harley.
Holy.
But that's the kind of relationship we had.
Yeah.
And he would tell me stuff that I didn't want to hear. And I would tell him stuff he didn't want to hear. But guess what? He's gone now. So guess what? Who do I got to tell me shit I don't want to hear? It kind of gets lonely. And that's a true statement, lonely at the top. Now, a lot of these consultants I hear, they tell these shop owners, you don't need to be friends with your employees. You need to be their boss. I agree with that to a certain extent, but people are still human beings.
Absolutely.
People still have problems. So if you look at a tech and he's usually doing 60 hours and you start realizing he's dropping and all of a sudden he's doing 40 and he's kind of hovering, he's kind of moping around, you need to pull him in the office and go, dude, is everything okay? Well, my wife's been cheating on me with the freaking pool guy and my life's fucking. You need to know that shit. You need to be in tune with your people that much so you kind of know what's going on. A lot of people say, I don't give a shit, I don't ask them. I ask them why your numbers. So sometimes people mentally cannot handle it. I agree with that. Okay, so me saying about the therapy kitties, that's a little bit, but people are human beings. And the reason I told
Absolutely.
you about Steve and how it messed me up, I understand that. So I've had people that have gotten divorced and their numbers drop and they screw shit up. You have to stick with them because they're only human.
Absolutely.
And there
Yep.
is a business to run, but if you're profitable, you could lose a 20-hour production for a week or two for a guy that's having a hard time in life. You can give him the respect to get his shit back together. I firmly believe that.
I do too. Yeah. I wanted to kind of switch gears and talk about, because we talked about this the other day, and we've talked a lot about like service advisors and selling, and we were talking about the other day and how you come in and you have a way of talking to people where people are complaining about their bill, and then you got her to pay more, and just those situations. I love that kind of stuff where there's a solution.
All right. So the other day, I got a story for you. So the other day, I don't usually get involved in stuff in my shops on a day-to-day basis. Like I said, there's processes that are in place. And if I get involved in the process, I fuck the whole thing up. And I am mature enough to understand as a business owner, just because I own a place, I can't walk in and short circuit my processes. If you walk in and short circuit your processes, you're not letting your people do their job and what you train them for. Okay. Well, the other day, one was a little over their heads, my service advisors' heads, and I happened to be walking through, and my son Lincoln, who has just started working in the front office, he's 18, he graduated, he was talking to a lady, he was on speakerphone, and she was pissed. She's like, I don't know what I spent $486 for, and, I got nothing. And Lincoln's like, well, man, we did a DOT inspection, and it failed, so that was an hour of our tech's time. That takes an hour to do this DOT inspection, and we spent an hour checking out your wheelchair lift that was inoperable, to come to the conclusion that it had been modified, but we could not figure out it was modified till we started pulling it apart and then found tape and stuff like that. So that took my tech an hour. We reached out to you and said, hey, we need some more time. It all basically got declined. The DOT needed a couple $100 worth more of stuff, and then it would have got a DOT pass. It needed a fire extinguisher mounted, triangle kit, a first aid kit, and I think that was it. And they needed more time to pull the rest of the panels off and check it because the tech got to the point where the control switch was only getting 1.5 volts and it should have been getting 12 volts to trip the relay. The key on switch was not triggering the relay on-off circuit to 12 volts as 1.5, so it had a voltage drop or something going on. So I listened to Lincoln talk, and she's lady's flaming out, and it's not going anywhere. And she's like, I'll never come back. And Lincoln's like, well, that's your choice. And I'm like, hang on, Lincoln. So I said, put her on hold. So he puts her on hold. And I said, is this a lady that I happened to answer the phone when you guys were out moving that truck in the other day? And I talked to her. He's like, yeah, that's her. I said, all right, let me get on the phone. I said, hey, Kathy, this is Kevin. She's like, oh, hey, Kevin. I said, I talked to you the other day. I said, I usually don't talk on the phone, but I talked to you the other day. Remember, my guys were out, and you explained your situation to me. And you told me I need to talk to your guy, Brad. And I said, I really don't want to talk to your guy, Brad, because what he's going to tell me really doesn't matter because I've already figured out that your system has been modified, blah, 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 blah. Just talk to him. I said, okay. I said, I'm not going to tell you right now. I can guarantee this is not going to go the way if he's the guy that modified it. So he gets on the phone, and I'm like, hey, this is Kevin. This is what I found. Yeah, I know what you found. I modified the pressure switch on the because the older wheelchairs don't use that pressure switch, and our clients need it. I said, but that's a safety switch that was made by Braun Ability, the actual company that makes this wheelchair lift. So your bypassing of safety is a liability for everybody. No, it's not. I said, let me get to something straight here. If guns come with safeties and I take the safety off a gun and somebody shoots it, who are they going to look at? Are they going to come to me and go, hey, Smith & Wesson, this truck, this doesn't have a safety? No, they're going to say, hey, this gun's registered to you. Why does it not have a safety? Because it has to rigid standards before it goes out of the factory, obviously with a safety. No different than a wheelchair lift. My God, you roll the people out on a ramp.
Yeah.
So he got mad. And I said, well, he said, obviously you don't know what you're doing. I said, I know exactly what I'm doing. The thing's only got 1.5 volts. I said, we found this pressure plate all undone and taped up. And I said, we got a hold of Braun Ability. They're going to send us over a flow chart so we could actually get the right voltage. I said, but where's the pressure plate? We need to put it back in the system. No, you don't. I said, well, guess what, buddy? I said, it sounds to me like you know way more about this wheelchair lift than I do. So I'm going to send it back to you, and you could fix it. I don't have time. I said, no, you probably have plenty of time. You just don't know what you're doing. So you sent it to me. Well, that made him mad. I didn't really give a shit at this point. How can I argue with somebody that took a safety switch out of a system? Whatever.
Yeah.
So we hang up. So fast forward, we send him the DOT fail and we need extra time. He's pissed off, declines it all. So she's pissed off the other day. I get back on the phone. So now go back, fast forward. I know I'm talking fast. So fast forward, I pick up the phone. Kathy, Kevin, I talked to you the other day. Blah, 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 right? She's like, I said, I heard what you said to Lincoln. I said, where is the disconnect here? She goes, what do you mean? I spent $486 and whatever cents and I got nothing. I said, well, that's not 100% true. You had a federal inspection, DOT, Department of Transportation inspection done on your van. And we told you, hey, it failed, but if you pay another $200, we'll put these pieces in. You'll have your van certified, DOT certified. It'll be a DOT pass. You did? I said, Lincoln told you that. She said, I didn't decline it. I said, no, it looks like Brad did. She's like, oh. I said, and you declined more time for us to get a hold of Brownability and actually go through the test that they gave us. They have not called us back yet. She's like, okay. I go, so what do we do wrong here, Kathy? She goes, well, nothing. I go, exactly, nothing. I go, there's one more line for $646. And I think it was like 18 cents for the hand pump. So if the motor goes bad, you could pump the wheelchair lift up and it was leaking. And I said, he declined that too. I said, so you have a wheelchair lift that doesn't work. And every time we pump it, it's leaking oil all over. She's like, huh. I said, so it sounds like you have an internal issue. And I said, remember the other day I told you I did not want to talk to him? She said, yeah. I said, this is why I pissed him off. Imagine that. The guy is not supposed to be talking on the phone in his processes, got drug into it because the guys were outside. I go, here we are. She goes, no, I feel completely fine. She goes, what do I need to do? I said, well, you need to spend the other $200, put the shit in your van. I said, because then you'll have a past DOT, right? Yeah. I said, then we'll put the pump on it so you can close the wheelchair thing for another $600. Okay. Okay. Absolutely. I said, when Brownability calls me back, we will get to the bottom of fixing the 1.5 volt problem. She says, okay, deal. I said, take your van. We got it closed up. I'll order the parts. I said, Phil is going to send you, my other service advisor is going to send you all the stuff for the approval. We good? Oh, absolutely. She goes, man, I just feel so much better. So by me stopping and talking to her, being a good salesman,
yep.
Instead of $486, it was like ended up being I doubled.
Like $1,200.
$1,200.
Yeah.
Okay. And she's happy.
Yeah.
And I told Lincoln, I said, you did a really good job. I said, you just didn't have the experience to talk about the stuff I did. So I gave her all the information, whether she understood it or not. And I treated her with respect. I kind of broke down where the problem was. And she literally said, yeah, he's a real problem, obviously. He can't just decline stuff. I go, yeah, think about this. He declines a DOT. So you have a DOT fail. I go, then Miss McGillicuddy gets put in her wheelchair and she goes flying out the side of the van and crashes. And then here comes the lawyers come to Garrett Auto and Truck and say, hey, what did you do last to this truck? I got a failed DOT and they didn't fix the wheelchair lift. And right here, they bypass the safeties on it. I go, how do you think the lawyer's going to love you?
Oh my God.
I said, you're going to be getting sued. She's like, yeah, no shit. I go, from now on, I said, my people are going to deal directly with you. And my son or Phil will give you the straight scoop, whether you want to hear it or not. And then at that point, you can make a decision. I said, but I trust them 100%. I said, does it make sense they have the safety disconnected? She's like, no, but these other older wheelchairs don't fit. I said, then you need to change the system or make that van designated for the newer wheelchairs and change the system. I said, maybe Brownability has something we can do to bypass that for the other wheelchairs, maybe different chalks, different lockdowns or stuff. You know, I've had over and over again where people are so irate. I had one guy, a concrete guy, that was so pissed off. We wrote him a $5,000 estimate on this truck. He's like, I will not spend $5,000. By the time I got done talking to that man, he spent $9,000. My guys are like, how do you do it? It's not, I'm confident in when I'm telling these people. I don't go, well, my service advisor thinks, I don't know. I walk up and go, this is what you need to do. These are the options you have. If you do them, great. Okay. And you know as well as I do, when you believe in selling something,
absolutely,
you can sell it.
Absolutely.
And my service advisors say that whenever my techs write up something, they say, I don't have no problem selling it because I believe in the text.
Believe it.
Now, here's another topic. Goes back and forth with people. Should the technicians write up good stories for the service advisors? Abso-freaking-lutely. They should take the time to write up the story so the service advisor has a better chance of having all the information to convey it to the customer.
Give me an example.
Well, these guys are sitting there talking about a drivability diagnosis. Say, like on a diesel, we get a 2-hour checkout, right? Uh, my guys will write up. We use the GPT we talked about that we built. They'll write up the codes and everything. Then we'll put it through the GPT. So it'll end up being a 5 or 6 paragraph layout of exactly what they did, what the codes mean, and everything. So the service advisor could actually read it, right? Before we had that technology, it was a little bit challenging because mechanics are not known for fucking winning spelling bee. Okay. Or they have run on sentences. So I believe in a lot of cases, mechanics don't write up huge write ups because the more they write, the more mistakes they made, and the more people call them illiterate. I'm not saying all of them once again, but let's face facts here. Mechanics are a different breed. They're usually, they don't really like to talk to customers. They're introverts. They're hostile because they're flat, right? You name it. With the GPT, all the information comes, it's spelled right, it's punctuated right. So the service advisor doesn't have to rewrite it, reword it. Maybe a word gets changed that the service advisor really didn't understand the word because it was a technical word. So they change it to something else. And then they sell it to the customer that the service advisor, who's not a technician, wrote. And the guy might have a little bit of mechanical knowledge. And he's like, this is bullshit. This doesn't even make sense. It's just, so there's a lot of, I believe that the mechanics need to write the information down. And you know what? Put a couple 2/10 on it for writing the story. Okay. And get a little bit more time to cover your ass to read the story. Now, there's another thing that goes on out there that guys say, well, if you're an experienced mechanic, you get screwed because you're doing all the diagnostic work and all that chasing intermittent problems and stuff like that. And the other guys are over there doing brake jobs and making all the money. Can you imagine if you write a really good write up and say, I need more time, and your service advisor could sell it to the customer? So, for instance, you get an hour for something, you run to the end of your hour and you go, okay, this is where I'm at. I ran it through the GPT. There's a 5-paragraph dissertation of what you did, asking for more time. Your chances are your service advisor is going to be able to get you the more time. And if they don't, you got your hour and you move on, right?
Yep.
A lot of guys don't write it up enough, so the service advisor doesn't really know what to say. Hey, the mechanic drove it and it really didn't stall, and maybe you should just take it and drive it till it stalls more. Instead of going, hey, we spent an hour on it. I'm going to send you over a write up of what we found with some pictures or whatever, and here it is, and the customer goes, God, man, that's like 3 pages of what this guy did in an hour. He's really trying to find this problem. Okay, perception is reality.
Yeah.
Write a nice write-up, a nice story, so the service advisor can slide it over to the customer and go, this is what he found. They go, man, that guy really knows what he's talking about. Versus like, R&R broken spark plug and spark plug spelled wrong. To correct misfire on number 8 and correct is spelled wrong. It's like the guy looks at it and goes, what the hell is this? Recommend replacing all spark plugs, $465. They're like, what the hell? It's 2 lines versus us going, hey, we found this. We tested this, this, and this. We did a cylinder balance test. We did a misfire. Counter was at this, da, 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 da. And it's a paragraph that's that long. And then I'm like, okay, we recommend replacing all the other spark plugs. And this is the reason why you need all the coils too, with another huge paragraph with all the pictures of the coils have arc marks on them or whatever. Okay. Don't you figure like the value is built into what the customer's getting ready to spend?
Absolutely. I think that's genius. And I think the other thing that we're missing here is that, we've talked about service advisors, we've talked about techs, and what people have to really understand is this is one complete business, one team, and what you're seeing here in this process is the tech working together with the service advisor. So the service advisor can have confidence to come back and then sell the job, sell more time, because if he's there and he's bumbling, he doesn't really have a good story, a full picture. And he is like, he's running behind and he's pulling whatever out of his ass, and he's not confident to be able to go back to that customer and sell that job.
No, I agree with that. And some of our comments we were getting on some of the posts, like, I have to kiss the service advisor's ass. Did you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, I would tell you if I was a tech at a dealership, which I've never worked at a dealership, let me clarify that, but I had to go up there and I had to keep sitting there kissing the service advisor's ass, I would be going to the general manager going, yo, I do 50, 60, 80 hours a week, and I have to go up there and kiss this guy's ass to do his job. I have a problem. Maybe you'll get written up, but let's face facts here. A lot of guys jump dealership to dealership, so it's not like you can't go get a job at a dealership. Techs are in need.
Yep.
Go find the place where you're going to be valued most and make the most money because your body only lasts so long. Now, I said that in that one thing. When you get older, you slow down. Guys are like, I'm 65 years old, still running circles around.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Good
I
for
don't
you.
care who you are. People slow down. Your body breaks down. It hurts. You stand on cement. You get plantar fasciitis. Your elbows hurt. Like my shoulders are worn out from all the transes I did over the years with the long. Like you only
Yep.
get one body, so
Yep.
you might as well monetize it to the best you can. Okay, how do you do that? You go to a shop where they value you, and the owner knows how to run a shop. But apparently, from what I'm starting to learn, there's not very many good owner operators out there. Maybe I'm wrong, but it just seems like a lot of guys bitch more than they say my shop, the guy I work for is great. Now, the guy we talked to in Henderson, Tennessee the other day,
Yes, Chris.
that guy's
Man.
freaking legit.
Yeah.
For 26 years old, that guy is sharp.
Yeah.
I knew 5 minutes in, I looked at you and gave you a thumbs up. That guy is fucking knows what he's doing and knows how to run a business. Already at 26, he runs a business better
That's
than
killer.
most guys. Did you notice that?
No, it's killer. It's exciting because when he messaged us and he's like, he's 26 and he's telling us his numbers and what he is doing, it's like he sounds like he's going to be impressive. But then when you jump in, you realize he's not full of shit.
Yeah, and he's going to be on. We're going to probably have to redo his podcast because it just came across shitty, the video.
Yeah.
Get a better camera and stuff for him. But man, that was good.
That was good.
He was legit.
Yep.
For sure. So I hope people understand where we're coming from on all this. And we're going to try to do a podcast a week on a different topic. So have no problem, guys. Shoot us a TikTok message.
Yeah.
And we'll spam the living shit out of you, apparently. But send us a message and what topics you want us to cover. That would be a good way to do it,
Absolutely.
breaking some of this stuff down for these guys because we have the experience, I do, to run pretty much talk about anything.
Yep.
The one thing I will say in closing, a lot of body shop owners don't reach out to us. And I own a body shop, and I'll tell you what, you guys want to think about the mechanical world being tough? You guys are nothing compared to the collision world. The collision industry is fucked.
You got the insurance industry you got to deal with.
Oh, my, it's horrible. And these guys, they're netting 8-9% if they're lucky out of a freaking year, running a collision shop, dealing with the insurance company. It's tough business, and they don't reach out to us.
I think maybe that's our next episode.
Yeah, the collision industry.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
We haven't talked a lot about it.
I hate it.
Yeah.
It sucks. That's why my collision shop, we do collision work, but I do stuff that most people won't do. Like we had a bookmobile, it looks like an old Greyhound bus, basically, that the air conditioning system went out on.
But it's a whole library inside.
Yeah.
It's pretty sweet.
Yeah, and the air conditioning went out, and it was like they don't even have that system anymore. So we ended up retrofitting the bus because they had a generator, and we put a window air conditioning in the back of it, built all the bracketry, wired it up, made a hood for it because I have a full metal bending shop I put in upstairs, and we charged the people good money. But tell you what, they were happy as could be. Like we didn't know what we were going to do. We tried to use the bus with no air conditioning. It was junk. There's kids in Ypsilanti and all the other areas around that need, a library on wheels. Now you've saved that. We charged them, but you know what? We fixed something that most people wouldn't. So we do stuff like that in our collision shop. I do because, once again, I'm a disruptor. I was not going to let the freaking insurance company tell me you can make this on a part and that on a part. So I figured, you know what? I put a trailer parts store in. So then I started fixing trailers in my collision shop. Now I do box truck repair, and I do a lot of stuff where the insurance companies can't control my pricing.
Yep.
And that's what a lot of people don't realize. Once again, I just pivot. If you didn't notice all through my story, if something's not working for me, I just do something else.
Yep.
But it's always been what? In the repair industry.
Yeah, you're not just throwing a bunch of stuff at the wall trying to make something stick. And we've talked about that before. You're not going out of your lane, and doing something.
No, I fix shit for a living. And this business is getting harder and harder. Let's not discount that fact. Stuff's trickier and trickier. You need more and more time. Most people say, well, man, my car count's going down year after year. I really worry about that. Don't. Your car count's going down because you're not getting the shit done fast enough because it's more complicated. Think about a timing belt back in the 1990s on a Pinto when you could do it in 1.3 hours as book time. Okay, timing belts in some of these cars are 9-10 hours. The little baby Macs that do a rear oil pump belt, it's a full day job, okay? So you only have so many bays, so much room. When I started this industry, they used to say that, what was it? Average bay would do 150 a year. Now it's 250.
250.
And I'll tell you one more thing, and I'm going to swear to God, we're going to stop now. I am in the shopwares group, and I told people I was going to start charging 3% on credit card fees to get to recoup that. They tease the shit out of me. You're a clown. You're this, you're that. This is way back when nobody was doing it. Now everybody's doing it. But here's the thing where most people don't take into consideration. I'm not going to say the answer to this question, but if I sell somebody something for $100 with no credit card charge, I charge Visa. Visa takes 3%. I get $97.
Yep.
Everybody agree with that? Yep. What happens if I put my credit card charge on that $3? So I go $100 plus the 3% is $3. How much money am I really losing because the credit card sees it presented as 103?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
I'm not going to say it. It's in the cents.
Yep.
So most people don't realize it. Fuck it. I'm just going to say it. You lose 9 cents only.
9 cents.
But you
Yep.
recoup the rest.
Yep.
Do you understand that? Most people don't think about numbers that way.
Yep.
I sat there, woke up in the middle of the night and go, son of a bitch. Then I figured out 9 cents out of every 100.
Yep. I'm going to, again, ending it. Being a disruptor, you're going to be teased. People are going to say, you don't know what you're talking about. You're crazy. But that's what comes with being a disruptor. But then they get to see you while you're traveling up north in your cyber truck. So fuck them.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, we got to put that video together. We did do the trip.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yep.
Just let's give them a quick recap. That episode's going to be coming out because EV haters.
Yeah.
I was an EV hater.
Yeah.
I fucking thought you were so sick. Oh my God. My wife still's like, I ride in it, but I don't like it. Ever since I got my Cybertruck, who my friend Shane turned me on to it, my service advisor Phil bought a Model 3. My son bought a Model X or my son-in-law bought a Model X for his daughter for my daughter, and he just bought a Model Y yesterday.
Did he?
You know what he named his car on the app? It's freaking hilarious. You know you can name your car on the Tesla? He calls his car Little Musk. But education is key, and it'll be very interesting when we start. They're saying Teslas are junk, electric cars are junk. You rode in it for 1,600 miles, Jason. Okay, give me your perspective.
Well, I was giving this yesterday. In fact, I sent one of the videos off to my friend Cody because he was like, I'll never do that. And he was like, I've been watching Kevin's videos, and I didn't think he'd ever be a guy that'd do that. And I'm like, he was a hater, but when you get it and you ride in it, man, I'm telling you what, there's nothing better than having a self-driving feature when you're tired as hell driving 14 hours to Arkansas.
Yeah, and the funny thing about that was we were actually using it. Most people don't take it into consideration. It was dark. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. We're dead ass tired. They have all these roads that are going, go this way. We literally hit self-driving that drove us where we didn't even know where we were going.
Yeah.
And how frustrating is that? Or stressful when you're going into a town at 2 o'clock in the morning, don't even know where you're going.
Oh, 5,000%.
And you're yelling at your wife, going, read the fucking map. And she's like upside down, chewing on the map. And that car drove us right in.
Right in.
That was badass.
It's the rules of being a disruptor.
Amen.
Amen.
All right, good.